In the quaint village of Willowmere, where cobblestone paths twisted between ivy-covered cottages and flower baskets hung from every lamppost, there lived a dog unlike any other. His name was Baxter. Baxter wasn't the largest or the fastest dog in Willowmere. He wasn't the fluffiest or the fanciest either. He was an old golden-coated Labrador with eyes as warm as sunlight and a tail that wagged like a metronome of joy. What made Baxter special wasn't something you could see. It was something you felt the moment you met him. A quiet wisdom, an old soul wrapped in fur. He belonged to no one, but everyone in the village claimed him. Each morning he trotted from the bakery to the schoolhouse, from the mayor's porch to the farmer's field, offering a nuzzle here, a bark of greeting there. Children ran to him. Elders smiled, strangers softened. Baxter had a way of making everyone feel like they mattered. The townsfolk often joked that he was more polite than most people. And it was true. He waited patiently at crosswalks. He never barked in the library. He even brought back litter he found in the park and dropped it beside the waste bin, wagging his tail like a proud gardener tending his roses. But what most didn't know, what only the very young or the very old still believed, was that Baxter was more than polite. He was magical, not in the fire-breathing, spell-casting way, but in the way that truly mattered. He changed hearts. And that's how the story begins, with a heart in need of changing. On a blustery Monday morning, the village school bell rang, and children spilled across the yard in a wave of chatter and bundled coats. Among them was a boy named Max Hensley, 10 years old, mouth full of complaints, hands stuffed deep in his pockets, eyes rolled toward the sky. Why do we have to write thank you notes to people who gave us stuff? He groaned to no one in particular. His classmate Emma, a girl with glasses too big for her face and the patience of a saint, replied, "Because it's polite?" Max snorted. "It's stupid. They gave it, didn't they? Isn't that enough?" At that moment, Baxter strolled through the gate, tail wagging, ears perked. He sat directly in front of Max and stared at him, calm and steady. Max stared back. "What?" Baxter tilted his head. Then, to everyone's surprise, he gently took Max's glove, just one, and trotted away toward the forest path behind the school. "Hey!" Max shouted. "Give that back, you dumb dog!" And without another word, he ran after him. Max barreled through the schoolyard gate, ignoring the calls from his classmates and the puzzled glance of his teacher. The cold wind bit at his exposed hand as he chased Baxter down the narrow dirt path that led into the trees. His breath puffed white in the air, and twigs snapped under his sneakers as he darted into the forest beyond the school fence. "Stupid mutt!" Max shouted, panting. "Come back with my glove!" But Baxter didn't run fast. He loped just ahead, always in sight, always just out of reach, his golden coat flickering between shafts of morning sunlight that pierced the bare branches above. His tail wagged gently, as if he were playing a game Max didn't yet understand. After a few minutes of chasing, the forest opened into a clearing Max had never noticed before. The trees stood farther apart here, and the ground was soft with moss. A half-fallen tree arched like a gateway at the far end, and in the center sat Baxter, tail curled neatly around his feet, Max's glove placed on a mossy stone beside him. Max slowed, breathing hard, hands on his knees. Finally, he muttered, walking over and snatching up his glove. What's your problem? Baxter didn't answer, of course. Instead, he stood, gave a soft huff, and trotted toward the fallen tree. Max watched, uncertain, as the dog disappeared under the arch of branches and moss. Curiosity flickered in Max's chest. He looked back the way he came. The school bell echoed faintly through the trees. Then he looked forward, toward the arch. He stepped through. The world beyond changed instantly. The light grew softer, golden and glowing, like late summer even though it was winter. The air smelled of warm earth and honeysuckle. Birdsong filled the space like music. And the trees seemed taller, older, wiser. And there stood Baxter, waiting beside a crooked wooden sign that read, "Welcome to the Grove of Goodness, where manners matter most." Max blinked. What is this? Baxter wagged his tail and began to walk. For reasons Max didn't fully understand, he followed. Deeper into the grove they went, until they reached a small wooden bridge spanning a quiet stream. On the bridge sat an elderly turtle wearing tiny spectacles, reading a book. Baxter approached and sat politely at the turtle's side. The turtle looked up, eyes twinkling. Ah, I see our next guest has arrived. Took your glove, did he? Max frowned. Yeah, and now I'm lost in some weird forest full of talking animals. The turtle chuckled. Not lost, lad, just found. Max opened his mouth to argue, then closed it again. Something about this place felt right. Name's Tobias, said the turtle. And we've got a bit of learning to do. Max squinted at Tobias. Learning? About what? The turtle slowly closed his book, placing a ribbon between its pages. About manners, of course, but not the kind that live on posters in school hallways. No, no. These manners grow deep, deeper than roots. Manners that shape who you are. Max crossed his arms. Like saying please and thank you. I already know all that. It's just, people make too big a deal out of it. Tobias tilted his head. And yet, when someone forgets to say those words to you, I suspect you notice. Max opened his mouth, then hesitated. He thought of the time his birthday had come and gone last month, and none of his classmates had even said, "Happy birthday." Until the very end of the day. It had made his stomach sink, even though he'd told himself he didn't care. Baxter nudged his leg gently, eyes steady and warm. Come, Tobias said, pushing himself upright with surprising grace for someone so old. The grove has much to show you. They walked a winding trail through the sunlit trees. Along the way, Max noticed small details. Flowers opening as they passed, squirrels bowing politely to one another. A crow helping a rabbit carry a basket of berries. It was like something out of a dream. Yet everything felt real. After a while, they stopped in front of a tall wooden door built into the side of a hill. Carved above the arch were the words, "The Hall of Hello and Goodbye." Max furrowed his brow. What's this? Tobias looked up at him. Lesson 1. Respect starts and ends with acknowledgement. A proper hello welcomes someone into your world. A proper goodbye honors their presence. He gestured for Max to open the door. Inside was a circular room with creatures of all kinds. Badgers, foxes, hedgehogs, owls, even a shy skunk, gathered in small groups. Some were entering, some leaving. Each time they did, they stopped, faced the other, and exchanged greetings and farewells. Some with bows, others with nods, some with gentle touches of the paw or wing. Max stepped inside slowly, unsure. A young beaver approached him, extended a paw. "Hello," she said with a friendly smile. "I'm clear." Max hesitated, then took the paw. "I'm Max. Hi." "Welcome to the hall," she said, before turning to greet another animal with the same kindness. Max felt a strange warmth bloom in his chest. It was just a simple hello, but it felt real. Not rushed, not automatic. Like it meant something. For the next hour, he watched, learned, and practiced how to look someone in the eye, how to speak with intention, how to notice when someone entered or left a room. By the time he left the hall, something inside him had shifted. Baxter trotted to his side and barked once, softly. Tobias chuckled. "He says you did well." Max smiled for real, this time. Maybe there was more to manners than he thought. The sun had dipped lower by the time they merged from the hall of hello and goodbye, casting long golden shadows across the forest floor. Max rubbed the back of his neck, thoughtful. "I didn't know just saying hello could be a big deal," he admitted as they continued down the path. Tobias nodded, his shell catching a beam of light. Many overlook it, but a proper greeting sets the tone for trust. And saying goodbye shows you valued someone's time. Max glanced at Baxter, who gave a wag of approval. They walked in silence for a while, leaves crunching gently beneath their feet. Then the path opened to a small glade where a circle of animals sat beneath a tree heavy with ripe golden fruit. In the center stood a proud peacock with a brilliant plume, arranging items in neat rows. "This," Tobias said, "is where we learn about gratitude." Max groaned. "More thank yous?" "Gratitude is more than words," Tobias said, guiding him forward. "It's how you treat what you've been given, and how you recognize what you already have." The peacock turned toward them. "Welcome. I am Percival, Keeper of Thanks." His voice was regal, yet warm. "Please choose an item from the circle. Any item." Max looked at the selection. A smooth stone, a small bell, a pair of carved wooden animals, a scarf, and a feather. After a moment, he picked up the wooden animals, one shaped like a fox, the other like a dog. Percival nodded. "Now, you must care for that gift, and when the time is right, offer thanks for it. Not with words, but with action." Max stared at the figurines in his palm. "But I didn't ask for this." Percival smiled. "Most gifts are not asked for. That's what makes them gifts." He gestured to the other animals, who were busy polishing, wrapping, or sketching their chosen objects. Max watched for a long time before sitting down. He set the figurines on the ground and began carving small initials into the bottom with a nearby twig, MH. He didn't know why. It just felt right to leave a mark, to say, "This mattered to me." Later, as they prepared to leave the glade, Max tucked the wooden animals into his coat pocket. Percival nodded, satisfied. Gratitude lives not just in words, but in how we carry what we've been given. Baxter padded close, brushing against Max's leg. "Thank you," Max whispered. Not because he had to, but because he meant it. they made their way back through the grove of goodness beneath a soft star-speckled sky. The light had shifted, warmer, quieter. Crickets chirped in steady rhythm, and the trees stood tall and hushed, like they were listening. Max walked slower now, not because he was tired, because he didn't want the day to end. When they reached the wooden arch where it had all begun, Tobias turned to him, his eyes gentle behind his spectacles. "You've come far in just one day," he said. "But the real journey begins when you return home." Max glanced back toward the glowing paths and the flicker of golden fruit trees beyond. "Will I ever get to come back?" Tobias smiled. "The grove lives inside you now. Every time you listen with care, greet someone with heart, give thanks, or treat others kindly, you return." Max looked down at Baxter, who sat quietly, tail curled around his paws, his gaze soft but proud. "You brought me here," Max said. "Why?" Baxter rose and gave a small bark, as if to say, "Because you needed it." "And because you were ready." Tobias extended a paw. Max took it and shook. "Goodbye, Max," the turtle said. "And thank you for your time." Max smiled. "Goodbye, Tobias. Thank you for everything." He turned and stepped through the arch. The grove faded behind him in a blink. Max blinked too. He was standing at the edge of the schoolyard again, his classmates playing on the monkey bars, the cold wind tugging at his scarf. His missing glove was in his hand. He didn't even remember picking it up. Baxter stood beside him. But something had changed. Everything had. Max turned to the golden dog, knelt down and wrapped his arms around him. "Thank you," he whispered. Baxter licked his cheek once and trotted away, tail wagging like a banner in the wind. Back in the classroom, Max sat beside Emma, pulling out a fresh sheet of paper. "What are you doing?" she asked, peeking over. He gave a small smile. "Writing a thank you note." She blinked. "Really?" He nodded. "Really." Then he pulled out the wooden figurines from his coat pocket and set them on his desk. The dog and the fox. And in that quiet moment, with the sound of pencil scratching and leaves brushing against the window, Max knew something important. Manners weren't just rules. They were a way to honor others.
And in doing so, honor yourself.